Hi, good morning. My name is Chandra Thomas, and I will be doing the practice interview questions for course PL 4002. The first question is asking, what drew you to the early childhood profession? Well, my journey into the early childhood profession was driven by a deep passion for fostering young children's cognitive, emotional, and social development during their formative years. I particularly was inspired by early education impact long-term outcomes that include school readiness and emotional well-being. Reflecting on the NAEYC Standard 6, which emphasizes professionalism, collaboration, and leadership, this is when I realized the importance of being a reflective practitioner who continuously evolves through lifelong learning. So, as my role as an early childhood educator is not just about teaching, it's about advocating for children, children's rights, the family engagement, and developing inclusive learning environments. By standing informed on current issues, such as increased need for trauma informed care and culturally responsive training, I ensure that my practices align with the needs of today's diverse classrooms. In my current role, I employ strategies that support the NAEYC's ethical standards by creating equitable opportunities for all children. For example, in the light of rising recognition of the implicit bias in education, I have implemented more culturally diverse curricula and have worked with families to promote a better understanding of their child's unique cultural contexts. For another example, as a program manager, I met with different subcontractors throughout the state of Florida and throughout Miami-Dade where we collaborated on what is best need for that child, what is the next step. Although it was an after school program, we wanted to keep them engaged through early literacy and through math and also through STEM. For another example, I worked with a retired principal who goes around as a superhero who reads to kids. We have worked very well together in collaborating on early literacy for our children from VPK all the way to second grade. I would like to extend my my expertise to families to have access to their children's needs and co-develop individualized educational plans and advocate for the necessary resources, to support every child's success. And that's what I've been doing so far as a program manager and also now as an administrator. By integrating the developmentally appropriate practices, or as we know it as the DAP, I ensure that my methods will foster the holistic development in social, emotional, cognitive, and physical growth in line with current research. The professional knowledge base in early childhood education also emphasizes the continuous of improvement and reflective practice. That's a focus that I strive to embody in my career. I attend professional development workshops. I also participate in community and engage with the latest research on early brain development and emergent literacy. This keeps me current with debate topics like universal pre-K and teacher burnout. This also informs that my leadership in this field motivated me to push for systemic changes supporting educators and children. In this way, I balance my professional responsibilities with a commitment to advocacy, always mindful to the broader societal implications of early childhood education. Number two, what do you consider to be your chief responsibility or responsibilities as an early childhood professional? Well, as for me, as an early childhood professional, my chief responsibility is to ensure the holistic development of every child under my care. This means supporting their cognitive, their social, emotional, and physical growth through developmentally appropriate practices, or as we call it, the DAP, that aligns with the principles that's outlined by the NAEYC. So, for example, I would talk about my role as an administrator now, that it extends beyond mere instruction. It involves me creating a nurturing and inclusive environment where all children feel safe. Although it's a small private school, this is where I put my practices in. And then I make sure that each child that comes into this school has a nurturing and inclusive where they feel valued, safe, and encouraged to explore their natural curiosity. This is by offering hands-on activities, play-based learning experiences is where I aim to ignite a love of learning that promotes critical thinking, problem solving, and social skills. Additionally, I tend to focus on fostering positive relationships as I understand that the healthy teacher-child interactions are foundational to children's emotional well-being and the ability to form secure attachments. Although I'm in an administrative role, I know every last student, and I make sure that I still have that teacher-to-child secure attachments as well. Another key responsibility that I take serious is collaborating with families and other professionals to support each child's needs. This is by recognizing the parents are the first child's important teacher. I prioritize family engagements and ensure open communication and shared decision making as well. For example, I have a student where I engage with the family, although the family is from a different cultural background as me. They're Haitian Creole and I'm African American. I still have that family engagement where the families feel valued and they feel heard and they also feel safe when they come and talk to me. I also work with specialists when necessary, such as speech therapists or particular education providers, to ensure that all children receive the support that they need to thrive. So it's not only the teacher, it's not only me. I call any resources I need to ensure that child is learning, each child that is learning. My role also includes advocacy for the profession. I push for better policies, resources, and the support for early childhood education in general. This responsibility is tied to my commitment to the NAEYC Standard 6 that also emphasizes the leadership and the professionalism, ensuring that I contribute to advancing that all children in my care and in early childhood field. Number 3, what is the role of collaboration in professional practice? Address the collaboration with other professionals as well as families. Well, the collaboration plays a crucial role in professional practice within the early childhood education, as it ensures that the diverse needs, of children are met through a collective and multidisciplinary approach. Working with other professionals such as special education teachers, speech therapists, and counselors give a more comprehensive understanding of each child's development and needs. By sharing these insights and strategies, this is where educators like myself and other educators can tailor individualized learning plans that address cognitive, social, and emotional growth. It's not only academic. This collaboration aligns with the NAEYC Standard 6 that also emphasizes the importance of teamwork and professional leadership. As an educator, I actively participate in meetings, share observations, and remain open to feedback, knowing that a cohesive team is essential for creating the best learning environment. For example, as a program manager, I sat on the ESAC board as a community outreach. I also share my expertise in the classroom so that we can collaborate on, as a whole, for the school behavior plan. Not just one child, but the entire school as a whole, the whole school community. This is where we called out the families, we called out community organizations. I called out more the board members on my nonprofit organization when I was program manager. This is where we all gathered together and we collaborated to make this school community as one. In addition to collaborating with other professionals, working closely with families is equally vital to success of early childhood education and in education as a whole. Parents and caregivers provide valuable insights into their child's background, preferences, and challenges that which helps us as educators personalize the learning experience. By building a strong partnership with families fosters the trust and ensures consistency between home and school environment, which is especially important for a child's emotional and behavioral development. Regular communication, whether through meetings, newsletters, or digital platforms, ensures that all families are informed and involved in their child's progress. For example, as an administrator, I communicate with my parents every day. Yes, I say my parents because I take this role as where it's not just a teacher, it's not just an administrator, it's not just a parent. It takes a village to raise the child, and I use that mentality every day when I come into as an administrator. Collaboration with families also help reinforce the home-school connection, creating a supportive network that empowers children to thrive academically and personally. Number 4, what strategies do you routinely utilize to ensure that you are critically reflecting your growth as an early childhood professional? Well, I engage in reflective journaling to ensure that I continuously grow as an early childhood professional. This practice involves setting aside time at the end of each day to document my experiences, my interactions with children and families, and observations of their developmental progress. Reflecting on specific incidents, successes, and challenges, this is where I can critically assess my teaching methods and identify areas of improvement. Me using reflective journaling also allows me to recognize patterns in children's learning behaviors and evaluate how effectively I met their diverse needs. For example, although I'm an administrator, but I do observe and I also sit in and I do DI with all grades from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. And I reflect on my teachings. I reflect on the many lessons that I've done. I reflect on the small group discussions that I will come into the classroom and discuss with the kids. I also reflect on when students come to me and ask me for help, academically and socially. I reflect on everything. And when I reflect, this helps me either to progress more, and I can find other resources and read academic journals where I can put other strategies to use, because what if the advice that I gave a child who was having trouble in class or having trouble at home or having trouble doing their homework, what if that strategy that I implemented or that I suggested didn't work? So I always tend to go further. I go beyond by finding different peer-reviewed journals and academic research that can help me implement strategies and lessons to that child so they can thrive. This ongoing process of self-reflection also enables me to align my practices within the latest research. That would ensures that I provide high quality, developmentally appropriate practices through the NAEYC standards. Another strategy that I employ is participating in peer observations and feedback sessions. As I come into the classroom, I ask my teachers, I also ask my principal, can you observe me? Can you observe me and can you watch how the children interact? I want to know how the children's interaction and I want to know how I'm interacting. So by observing colleagues in their classrooms and inviting them to observe me and my teaching, I gain a fresh perspective of my instructional approaches and classroom management techniques. This helps with collaborating with other professionals to foster a culture of open communication and shared learning. I'm not only in this by myself. All of us are in this together. We are a village. I often engage in post observation discussions during which we exchange constructive feedback and reflect on how we can implement changes to improve our practices. With this collaborative approach, this enhances my teaching and strengths in understanding a diverse strategy that works for different learning styles, ensuring that I remain adaptable and responsive to children's needs. Additionally, I make a point to stay informed through the ongoing professional development by attending workshops, conferences, webinars to focus on early childhood education that allows me to keep current with new theories, methodologies, and best practices. I also participate in learning communities where I can discuss different issues in the field with other professionals. For example, I recently joined a Facebook group for early childhood that discussed trauma informed care and inclusive practices. Since I joined the group 2 weeks ago, I have gained a lot of knowledge and received a lot of feedback and a lot of positive reviews where I can come in and implement these strategies to my students. By actively seeking out new knowledge and incorporating it into my teaching, I ensure that my growth as an early childhood professional is intentional and aligned with the evolving needs of the children that I serve. This commitment to lifelong learning is essential to maintaining professional excellence and advocating for the advancement of early childhood education. And number 5, briefly describe an issue that might be the focus of current or future advocacy efforts, and explain why advocacy as a hallmark of professionalism in the early childhood field. A current issue that could be focus of advocacy efforts in early literacy is the disparities in access to high quality early literacy resources across different social economic communities. Research shows that children from lower income families often enter kindergarten with far fewer literacy skills than mere affluent environments. By, excuse me, I'm sorry. I said that research shows that children from low income families often enter kindergarten with far fewer literacy skills than their mere affluent peers due to limited access to books, reading materials, and early language rich environments. This gap, known as the word gap or the achievement gap, can significantly impact a child's academic success and long-term educational outcomes. For example, going back to as I was a program manager, this is where I worked with the retired principal. Our main focus was early literacy. In the state of Florida, only 6% of children in low-income neighborhoods know how to read. Only 2% of children in low-income neighborhoods enter the VPK program. This is why we're pushing for more Head Start, Early Start programs in the low-income neighborhoods where children can learn to thrive more. They can be exposed to rich language and other resources for early literacy. With the advocacy efforts to increase equitable access to early literacy programs, books, and community resources, especially for underserved populations, are very crucial for addressing this gap and promoting educational equality. Advocacy is the hallmark of professionalism in early childhood because it demonstrates a commitment to a well-being of all children, particularly those most vulnerable. As early childhood professionals, we have a responsibility to not only provide quality education, but also be the champions for systemic changes that removes barriers to learning. Advocating for policies that supports funding for public early literacy programs, expanding access to preschool libraries, and providing literacy-based interventions in underserved areas can help ensure that every child has the opportunity to develop strong literacy skills from an early age. This advocacy goes beyond individual classrooms. and reflects a commitment to improving the educational system. So, furthermore, early childhood education and advocacy reflects the professionalism and the leadership of ethical standards that outlines in the NAEYC Standard 6. Professionals in this field are educators and leaders who use their knowledge and expertise to influence positive change at the local, state, and national level. Whether through partnership with community organizations, participation in policy discussions, or raising awareness of the importance of early literacy, advocating for children's needs that demonstrates the deep dedication to the field. In doing so, early childhood professionals fulfill their ethical obligation to support the holistic development of children and ensure equitable access to quality education for all. I would like to thank you for allowing me the special time to discuss my practice interview. Thank you.